welcome to Q Vision, your local news program which covers the stories and features from Kingston and beyond. On today's show, we are powering forward with the latest green technology.
London Fashion Week is under scrutiny by Kingston students.
And Dungeons and Dragons, is it more than just a game?
For most students at university, dissertation and exams are enough to worry about. However, this year in Kingston University, the first generation of e-racers are finding time to design a green car powered by electricity. Students are drawing together their skills in project management and engineering and automotive design. To get this project under the starting line, David Kiaku went to find out the whole story.
Kingston University was once known for its training in aviation engineering, but this year sees them taking on a new challenge for the first time, building a green single-seat racing car in just 1 year, a challenge that sees an idea go from this to this. Formula Student is Europe's most established educational motorsport competition, run by none other than an institution of mechanical engineers. Successful universities from across the globe are challenged to design and build a single-seat racing car in order to compete in static and dynamic events. America, Europe, Australia, and this year, Kingston University. This car will represent the beginning of many and be remembered by Kingston University as Paramount, the first ever green e-racing car built by its students. Nevertheless, victory doesn't come easy, taking almost a whole year to complete, using 30 active members' constant attention and costing an enormous estimate of £36,000 to complete.
This is everything that you do in this project, no matter what angle you come in, is seen by potential employers as a very good thing, because it's bringing up a lot of skills, life skills, people skills, communication skills, designing skills, manufacturing skills. As an engineer, that is what a potential employer is looking for.
The most exciting part is to work with this team. Every member has something different. So it's very interesting to work with different people in order to build something.
We're extremely excited to go to Silverstone. To a lot of people here, it's the first time they'll be doing something like that. Going to a race event as a spectator happens loads of times. Being in the pit lane with a car, racing a car, is a completely different experience. I've done it before, but I've never ever been to Silverstone with something that I've built, designed, and is ready to race.
Now, you may think a year is a long time for such a task, but when you're raising all the funds to support and build a racing car alone, things can get a bit tricky. Students are required to run like a company in sub-teams such as design, manufacture and electrics, only to mention a few. Starting in August 2012 and needing the car ready for testing by late June this year.
Sponsors need to come on board, they need to come on board, they need to come on board now. We are the only two UK teams having an electric motor, electric car that we're building.
Now, the average person drives a car with an internal combustion engine. That is an engine that works with small amounts of fuel and being ignited in a small amount of space. But electric cars have been around since the 19th century. The Sinclair C5, a battery-operated electric vehicle launched in 1985, was named the best-selling electric vehicle even in 2010. However, even with the added benefits to the environment, these cars remain expensive, and sponsorship for the parts has been hard to come by.
It's hard. Okay, it's hard. It's a project that we started from zero. So it's very hard because it's something new for everyone.
Hardest part of the project, I think, is the marketing side from personal experience. Just trying to get the name out there, especially as we're a first year kind of thing. So we're not very well known. So we need to have a big impact on the wider world and try and get people to notice us.
We haven't got enough money. Sponsors that come on board, they can do either monetary donations or materials. We're looking for anything at the moment.
The work on the car is continuous, meeting once a week to talk about progress, and the rest of the time is spent working in groups to ensure the product is delivered on time.
But the thing that attracts people the most is the fact that we're doing it for the first time. So anybody that's involved this year is a pioneer of this. This will be carried on year after year in this university.
This is truly a remarkable project, a story of talented young people taking part in one of the world's biggest competitions in their academic area. If you would like to help and for more information, please visit www.kueracing.co.uk. This is a one-off experience that they can all be truly proud of. Now it's time for me to have a sneaky go in the car.
We're joined in the studio by Richard Adofu, who is the Kingston University e-racing project project manager. Now, this is a very big project. How much progress have you made?
Well, we've made a lot of progress. Our chassis is actually complete. We are actually about to start creating the body for the vehicle, and we're doing quite a lot of assembly here up in Rampton Vale, where we're based.
Well, this is a pretty challenging target in such a short time. How close will it get to the finalized product?
Well, this year, because it's our first year, we're not actually looking to be very competitive. We want to get the car on the track at Silverstone. So in terms of getting it there, it will definitely be there on time for July.
Oh, brilliant. So have you had any sponsors?
Yeah, we've had quite a few sponsors. We've actually had quite a bit of support from from the university in terms of using the facilities there, and also monetary sponsorship as well. So the response that we've got is great. It's very great.
Thank you so much, Richard, and the best of luck with the project.
Thank you very much.
Britain has become renowned for the latest styles and fashion and attracts the attention of the world's media to London Fashion Week. We review the biggest event in the fashion calendar with a fashion student from Kingston University. Here's Ryan Cooksley with some more glamour.
I'm here at Somerset House, which today marks the start of London Fashion Week. In the next few days, this place will be inundated with fashion royalty, and everybody's buzzing to know just what will be dressed in the autumn-winter months. But what effect will these designers have on the high street stores? Many of this season's designs are already on show to the public at various exhibitions, while high-end fashion is available to those with deep enough pockets. But the main focus of attention here is on the catwalk. We spoke with Sadie Clayton, a fashion student at Kingston University, to get her opinion on the Bora Aksu Autumn-Winter collection.
The thing I most enjoyed was probably the colour palette. I like the way that the beiges and the browns and the mustard and even the pink and the purples, it all work together as one. The fabrics as well, the way that they've been manipulated into other textures, I thought that was a skill within itself. Even like Bora, no, it's not high street, people wouldn't copy that, but they would copy kind of maybe the silhouette or a fabric that they've used or kind of a technique, so a lot of gathering in a certain, really commercial A-line skirt, they could gather that and it might replicate something of Bora's. It's not necessarily copying, but it's just having that tiny little detail and that influence that you can kind of see similarity. I guess the major high street brands like, H&M and Topshop, like, because they are such core kind of chain, like they're all over Europe, all over the world kind of stores, they are obviously bound to take influence from the catwalks. Me as a designer, I want to produce things that will give the viewers a bit of like a wow factor. That's who I am. I always want to experiment with new materials. I'm such a doer, I'm such a worker, like I never give up and I develop, and I always want to kind of strive to be the best with these new creations. Like even if it's just something so simple, as long as the silhouette's great and that no one's seen, I think that's an achievement within itself. Right now I'm producing my final collection. We have to produce 6 looks and I've just about got 3. The materials I'm using are a bit kind of out there, so I'm having to get a lot of people on board with me to help. There's a guy called Tony, he's amazing. He's made like metal swimwear before for an Australian designer, but his thing is like he makes cast iron railing, so he's making my mirrored copper sculptures that obviously fit the human form. They're not wearable, you can't wear them on a day-to-day basis, but I'd like people like, Lady Gaga to wear them like for a music video or hire it out for a photo shoot for Wonderland magazine. yeah, it's all kind of one-off pieces, couture pieces, yeah.
Fashion is just as much a part of our lives as music, art or literature, and so there's no denying that the next few days will be very important for London. Although they may be bleary-eyed or indeed jet-lagged, many fashion editors, bloggers, models and photographers alike have already set foot in London town to see just what this fashion capital has on offer. It's been an amazing day here at London Fashion Week, and only time will tell what's in store for the great British public. Ryan Cooksley, Somerset House, back to you at the studio.
Here in the heart of London, it can often be difficult to find green space or wildlife in their natural habitat. But Richmond Park offers just that and much more. Despite only being a few miles out of central London, our presenter Kim Collins went to investigate just that and what the park has to offer.
Richmond Park is the largest of London's 8 royal parks and attracts millions of Londoners and tourists every single year. It's the biggest enclosed space in the whole of London. It is also London's largest site of special scientific interest and a European Special Area of Conservation. The park has a fascinating history spanning almost 4 centuries. In 1625, Charles I brought his court to Richmond Palace to escape the plague in London and turn the area into a hunting park for red and fallow deer. Breeding season, also known as the deer rut, takes place in the autumn. This can be a very dangerous season, as the males roar, bark and clash antlers to fight off their rivals and attract the females. It's thanks to centuries of grazing by red and fallow deer that have allowed this environment to flourish. It's estimated that there are 630 deer currently roaming freely in the park. When visiting Richmond Park, all visitors are told to keep at least 50 metres from the deer and to be aware of your surroundings, especially during breeding season and during the months when the young are born. The number of owners walking their dogs through Richmond Park has increased considerably throughout the years. This can pose a threat to the deer, as they feel threatened by the dogs and can therefore cause a nasty situation. There are numerous charities dedicated to the conservation, protection and improvement of Richmond Park. The activities include conservation, public education, volunteering, public issues, publications and communications. Unfortunately, there are many large threats they foresee, and they are working to prevent this in the future, such as the increasing number of visitors and the intensity of how they use the park, as it has a very fragile ecology. I asked a few people as to how they use Richmond Park and what benefits it has to offer.
My friend's got a new puppy, so we wanted to give it a lot of exercise, and we're doing the Marsden March on Sunday, which is a 14-mile walk, so we thought we'd better do some training, albeit the week before it's a bit late.
I try to come at least 4 times a week. I love all areas of the park, but in particular the central bit, because when you look around you can't see any traffic.
So I think this is one of the most greatest park in London. Yeah.
Changes to the park's ecology and wildlife. Since 1961, the park has seen a loss in many species of wildlife, which they hope not only to put a stop to, but also want to reverse this. Only time will tell if these problems can be overcome and if Richmond Park will be here for centuries to come.
To find out more, we are joined here today by Charlotte Harris from the School of Surveying and Planning at Kingston University. Hello, Charlotte.
Hello.
Do many other areas in London benefit from the open spaces that we have around Kingston?
Well, yes, actually, I mean, London's a massive place, and so there are plenty of open spaces, and there are other large parks. Greenwich Park, for example, is the equivalent of Richmond Park in this part of London. And all areas have a hierarchy of open spaces, and Richmond and Greenwich are major areas and royal parks which are managed by central government on behalf of the Crown. But then when it comes to less sizable areas, small spaces, local parks, things like that, they're incredibly important, and they are not only places for people to visit, but they are valuable for all forms of flora and fauna biodiversity, so they are incredibly important.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So will the government's policy in the National Planning Policy Framework, known as the NPPF, giving local councils permission to build on Greenbelt Metropolitan Open Land, be likely to affect the amount of green space in the area?
It's debatable, because basically, even though there is this national policy for looking at releasing greenbelt land or other open spaces, such as small sites that perhaps are being reused or to be reused, it means that local planning authorities do have a degree of control through local policy, and that local policy can actually identify the quality of open land or open spaces, and categorise and prioritise and identify which sites could possibly be released. But it's very much up to local authorities, local planning authorities, and of course they are very conscious about their local inhabitants, their local communities.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Charlotte.
You're welcome.
While many of us get out the board games during festive holidays or holiday gatherings, you may find it difficult to believe that some games take a life on their own. Now, you may be familiar with the game of Dungeons and Dragons, but the Kingston University Society has turned this science fiction game into a real-life adventure.
Adventures, dragons, sorcerers and ghosts, creatures and events that only exist by imagination is only a few of the things Dungeons and Dragons has to offer. Following a story created by a dungeon master, a group of people here at Kingston University meet up every week to fight for survival in a game of imagination.
I wasn't too sure when I came along to the first D&D session, and I just came along along the whim, because I actually thought it was something else. I thought it was flight Xboxes and that sort of stuff. So I came along and I was there. I was like, this is definitely not what I expected. But yeah, I went along with it, and then I thought, yeah, I might as well come along again and see what it's like, and I really enjoyed it.
I'm Michael Cowan. I'm Dungeon Master of this session of D&D. That means I run the game and I decide what happens in it. I determine the story. I've been running Dungeons & Dragons for about 3 years, and I've been playing it for about a year. It's a role-playing game of imagination, so you choose your own adventure. You decide what you want to do, you fight who you want to fight, and you kill your own teammates if you feel like it.
A tabletop game is the very best combination of an interactive story and a video game, because you can take anything that you can think of and immediately you can bring it to life by just describing it and talking about it with the DM.
Sorry. Now I get partial cover.
It's a fantasy world where you can literally do anything you can think of, and you have a fairly good chance of success, assuming that you explain how you're going about it. So you could say, I want to kill a dragon, but you have a better chance of success if you say, I'm going to climb up there, drop such and such on it, and then light it on fire.
This is my character sheet. I've got my attributes up there, skills, character specifics, my health and my armour. And here I have my attacks. What skills you can use differs from class to class. So at the moment I've got a certain different skills, and each class has bonuses to different skills that they can upgrade them cheaply. On the other side, we've got my inventory, quite full, my armour, my XP, my gold that I have down there, feats and special abilities which I've earned from levelling up, and spells which I've also earned from levelling up as well.
In Dungeons & Dragons, the main dice that we use is the D20. It's the dice that we use to make most decisions. Whenever you attempt an action which has a chance of failure, it's the D20 that you roll. And there'll be a certain difficulty class which you're rolling against. If you get higher than the difficulty class, then you succeed. If you get lower than the difficulty class, then you fail. But there's also two special cases in a D20 roll. There's your 20, which is usually an automatic success. If you roll a 20 and it comes up like that, you succeed on your action, no matter how impossible. Similarly, if you roll a 1, you automatically fail, and you probably hurt yourself and look pretty stupid in the process.
I can one-hit you with my pinky, alright? Why wouldn't I? Speaking of which, where is he?
Yeah, it's what I look forward to most in the week. It's just a way to escape from all the work I have and all the stress of uni life, and just relax and chill out with a few friends and imagine stuff. It's a way to escape the boring old world and immerse yourself in something where you can be pretty much whatever you want.
That's all we have time for in this programme. We'll be back at 2 p.m. showing the local restaurants that makes exotic meats into a business. Join us in half an hour. Goodbye.